When in language learning do you get to the point where you can stop translating in your head? I get this question all the time, and today we're going to talk about it. Even fluent learners sometimes will catch themselves mentally translating. It's totally normal but fixable, and with time it won't happen. So let's talk about why our brains do this and how you can train your brain to think more naturally in Italian or whatever target language you're learning. So first of all, why do we translate in our head? The brain is designed to be efficient, not necessarily fluent. When learning a language, your brain creates shortcuts. And the easiest shortcut is new word, native word, meaning. For example, when you learn the word gatto, it means cat. Your brain automatically pulls up cat because that's the connection that already exists. Over time, we want that rewire link to go directly from gatto to the image or the concept of a cat, just skipping the English part entirely. It's kind of like your brain is taking the scenic route instead of the shortcut. Translation kind of slows you down until you can build a faster road to get there. Translating means that you do know the word, but you haven't practiced it enough to recall it instantly. This happens because your brain stores knowledge in two ways. You have declarative memory, so these are facts and knowledge. For example, mangiare means to eat. Then you have procedural memory. These are skills and automatic actions. So things like speaking without having to think about it. You move from declarative to procedural through repetition in real use, not just studying and memorizing. So overall, what is the takeaway? You are not bad at Italian or whatever language you're learning. Your brain just hasn't automated it yet. So here's how I retrained my brain, or basically what happens over time as you study. The real transformation happens when you have concrete, trainable habits. So what you can start doing is talking to yourself throughout the day. Narrate what you're doing. Mi sto preparando un caffè. Devo trovare le chiavi. Everything that you're doing, say it in your head, or say it out loud if you're alone and people won't think you're crazy. This turns passive knowledge into active recall. So start small. It could even be like 30 seconds a day, little sentences throughout your day, and don't worry too much about the grammar and stuff. The scientific reason behind this is speaking aloud activates the brain's language production centers, forcing faster retrieval than silent thought. So if you're only saying a lot of things in your head, it might take a little bit longer for you to achieve this automation than if you were actually speaking out loud. So talk out loud. Talk out loud. My favorite is when I'm in the shower and I'm just kind of like talking about my day. There's plenty of time to talk, practice saying your language. Or if you're driving, if you have a commute to work and you drive alone, talk out loud. Just find every opportunity you can to say things out loud and not only in your head. You can also pick things around you and name or describe them in Italian. So you could say like, la finestra è aperta, fuori piove, questa sedia è comoda. And try to use sensory language, so color, sound, feeling. It helps form stronger mental connections. And this works because it taps into contextual memory, which strengthens recall more than just going through flashcards. You can also work on this by reading. Reading helps me so much with learning the language. And if you want to start reading, you have to make sure that you choose content that is slightly easier than your level, so you can focus on the flow of it and not just constantly looking up every other word. And try to set up a rule for yourself. Don't stop to translate every single word you don't know. Try to guess it from the context. You can try things like graded readers or children's books in Italian. I really like the website Fable Cottage because it has all those little fables and children's stories that a lot of us already know, but translated into Italian. They even have audio, and it's a free resource. I think some of the stories you might have to pay like to unlock them, but a lot of them are already free. And again, take this opportunity to read aloud. Speak those words out loud. Hearing and speaking reinforce comprehension a lot faster than just silently reading. And you'll also get practice saying the words and feeling how it feels to speak the language. You can also use flashcards or visual learning apps, but just hide the English word. So basically, instead of having gatto and then on the back side of the flashcard cat, put an image of a cat, not the word. Because again, you want to associate the word with the concept or the idea. Or for example, in real life, when you see your coffee cup in the morning, think tazza, not cup. That way, again, you're building those different neural pathways between the Italian word and the object. So over time, your brain stops needing to pass through English to understand. Okay, now moving on to the mindset shift, because the mental part of language learning matters just as much as the method. So focus on communication, not perfection. Allow small mistakes. It's really not a big deal. It's how your brain experiments and solidifies those new connections. So I know a lot of people say, and I think this is true, if you make mistakes, you learn that word or phrase a lot better. And it's so true. When I think about awkward mistakes that I made, I will never forget those words or those phrases. True fluency means that your brain retrieves Italian or your target language fast enough to keep up with your thoughts. But think about it, even native speakers pause, rephrase, and correct themselves sometimes, because fluency is flow, not flawlessness. Even I, shooting this video, have stumbled over words or rephrased things so many times. It's totally normal for a native speaker. You can do journaling to really help get your thoughts down onto paper and try to just write without really stopping too long to think about translating. You can also do voice notes on your phone, and that way you have a record of the progress you've made. That way you can also kind of measure how much your mental delay decreases over time. So maybe in the beginning when you're doing a voice note, you have so many pauses where you're searching for a word, and maybe later on, after a few months or something, you'll see that you can tell a story with less pauses. So a lot of people ask me, how long did it take you to stop translating in your head? There's really no set answer. It's not like once you're studying for a year, everything will open up and then you can just never have to translate in your head. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that for you. I honestly can't remember exactly or pinpoint exactly when I stopped translating in my head, but it definitely took a few years, but it might be different for someone else's timeline. Once I started living in Italy and getting more exposure to the language, it definitely started to speed up and I found myself translating less in my head. Now I'm to a point where I am more aware that I don't need to translate in my head. It's kind of something that happens and I feel like you don't even realize it unless you're consciously thinking about it and you're like, wait, I'm understanding all these words without having to go through that English translation. And then it's really cool and you're like, oh my God, but I don't know, it's something you don't even realize that is happening because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly because some of the easier phrases or the words that you hear all the time start to become automatic. But then maybe if you're in another conversation with some vocabulary words or topics that you're not super comfortable with or are really new to you, you'll realize, okay, I'm starting to translate that in my head because I didn't know what that meant. And it's so much more enjoyable to watch YouTube videos, watch Italian TV, hear songs when you don't have to be translating in your head. It just feels as enjoyable as when you watch content in English or your native language. So I know translating in your head at the beginning feels super frustrating and it feels exhausting, but it's not a sign of failure. It's just a sign that you're learning. You have to teach your brain these shortcuts. You have to create these neural pathways, and that takes time. So start trying to incorporate these strategies into your study routine. Like I said, naming things around you, trying these visual learning techniques, read short stories, find ways to expose yourself to the language as much as you possibly can. Make sure to speak the words out loud to really reinforce that connection that you're making in your brain. And hopefully you start to notice that your brain is switching and you don't have to translate every single thing in your head. Let me know if you've been struggling with this or if you have already reached the point where you don't have to translate in your head. Let me know when that started happening, what you did to get there, and I would love to hear your stories in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for future videos. I'll see you all soon. Bye.